it's Steph. Thanks for watching today's video. I'm going to be doing my intro to the Pan Those Eyeshadows Project Pan. This was created by Alexi, so I will leave a link to her channel below. I did do this project last year for the last 4 months of 2021, and I really enjoyed it. I hit a lot of goals. I was excited to continue it this year. I hit pans in 4 shadows in 4 months last year. So my goal this year is to hit 12 pans in the 12 months. I think that's reasonable and a realistic goal to achieve. So I am excited to see where this project takes me. If you saw my recent haul video, I did add a few palettes and 1 single eyeshadow to my collection. I have updated my spreadsheet. It is in alphabetical order by palette and by brand. I've decided to do it a little different than I did last year. I want to do a focus palette, which I'm a little nervous about, and then I will do 5 random shades in my collection. So let's first randomly generate the palette that I'm going to be focusing on. I'm a little scared because some of my palettes are 18 eyeshadows, some of them are 4 eyeshadows, so I'm gonna try this random selection out. I'm just gonna go with whatever palette that I get because I need to get use out of my palettes. And that's that. I currently have 24 eyeshadow palettes in my collection. I added 5 in my most recent haul video. So I'm actually only going to be randomly selecting from the previous 19 that I had in my collection because I don't want to focus on panning brand new palettes. I saw a few people do it this way where if they roll in a shade from a brand new palette, they have to use it as a whole a certain amount of times, and then that could be eligible for a focus palette. I hope that makes sense. So 1 through 19, I'm going to generate number 6. I'm so happy. It is my ColourPop That's Taupe palette. That was a palette that I wanted for a really, really long time. Right when ColourPop released it, it went out of stock really quick. And then the minute it came back into stock, I bought it. I will grab that at the, when I grab my other randomly generated shades, but I'm really excited to focus on this palette because it was my dream palette. And then I never used it, so I need to use it. I have 228 individual shadows in my collection, whether it be in a palette, a single potted eyeshadow, a liquid eyeshadow, or a magnetic eyeshadow. So I'm going to type in 1 through 228. If I generate 2 of a very similar color, I will re-roll. And if I roll in a shade from That's Taupe, obviously I will re-roll. So let's do the first number. 56. That is my oldest ColourPop Super Shock shadow in the shade Kathleen Lights. So I'm really excited to get use out of that. 52 is another Super Shock shadow in the shade Mooning. I might veto that because, no, we'll see. I'm gonna grab them and we'll see. 91 is actually from one of my new palettes in my collection that I inherited from my sister. She handed down some eyeshadow palettes to me that she received in BoxyCharm, and this shade is from Dominique Cosmetics Celestial Thunder. It's the 3rd shade in the palette, which I have no idea what it is, so we'll see. The 4th shade is going to be number 159. Ooh, that's from my Morphe 9T palette, which if you followed along my Pan Those Eyeshadows last year, that was a palette that I was working on. So I have 2 pans in that palette already. I'm really excited to get a 3rd. It is the very last shade in that palette, the 9th shade. So I'm curious to see what that is. And then the last shadow I'm gonna roll in is number 224, which is one of my magnetic single eyeshadows in my Z palette. It's the very first one in the row. I haven't taken time to write the name of it in here. I was just lazy, I guess, at the time. Oh, don't you love when the strings hang out in your shirts? Anyway, so I'm gonna go grab all those palettes and then we will take a look. The reason I wanted to add a focus palette in this year's Pan Those Eyeshadows is because I felt like last year I was getting pretty bored with my look. I was basically only using the 5 shades that were in my project. I wasn't using any other shadows in my collection. So I felt like adding a whole palette would help me get a little more versatile in my looks and not get as bored. So here is my focus palette. That's Taupe from ColourPop. The plastic is still in this because I literally never touched it. Look how gorgeous these are. I've heard that ColourPop shades are really hard to pan, so this might take me all year. I'm trying to think of what my goal will be because I've never done a focus palette before. I think I want to hit pan in half of these shadows and see how well I do. I think I will wait and see which shades I gravitate towards this first month and then maybe decide which like specific shades I want to hit pan on. But yeah, I'm really excited to get some use out of this. This is an amazing everyday palette and I know that I will get a ton of use out of it. I'm gonna go a little out of order from like how I selected things, but let's look at the 2 Super Shock shadows. Kathleen Lights is the first one, and it is this beautiful bronzy gold shade. Let me swatch it for you. It's pretty dry, but it definitely still has color payoff. And then the next one was Mooning, which I actually had in a Shop My Stash last year. And I think I featured it in a Get Ready With Me. Oh boy, it's very, very dry. It is not swatching very well. And if you can tell, it's kind of pulling from the side. I think I will keep both of these in here. I don't know which video will be going up first, but I have another Super Shock shadow in another project pan that I'm doing this year. So I'll have 3, which I like because I don't use my Super Shock shadows often, if ever. And so I'm glad I'm gonna get use out of them, but I don't know, they kind of all feel the same to me, but these are pretty different, so I'm okay with that. Let's look at the Celestial Thunder from Dominique Cosmetics. I rolled in the 3rd shade. I haven't looked at it yet. Still has the plastic. So I'm gonna, oh, there's my face. Let's try to fold this back. There we go. So counting from left to right, 1, 2, 3. It is this deep, deep purple shimmer shade called Black Matter. Ooh, oh, it's very purple. Where was this for Halloween season? I guess I haven't really said like my goals. This guy I want to hit pan on. This guy is really dried out. I'm gonna try to revive it with some Inglot Duraline. I've seen some people do that on YouTube. So hopefully if that works and it's usable, I would like to hit pan on that as well. For this guy, I don't know. I don't know how deep the pan is, so I think my goal is to just use it 20 times and see how far that gets me. Next, I'm gonna pull out my Z palette. I don't know if I've ever showed you guys this. I think in my eyeshadow collection I did, but I just have some. This is a blush, this is a contour, and then these are my single eyeshadows. So I rolled in the very first one. This is a Makeup Geek shadow in the shade Vintage, and this is very old. This is like when Makeup Geek first came out and first like had their Z palettes, and it was all the rage. There's that shadow swatched. It's not very pigmented, which might be nice. I could possibly use it as a transition. I'm getting a little scared. My color story last year was pretty wearable, especially like near the end of the year where you want to do more glam looks and things like that. And this is like pretty bold colors. I'm just really thankful I have my That's Taupe palette to get me through. And then the last shade that I rolled in was from my Morphe 9T palette. And as you can see, I have pan in this first shade and also the fourth shade. And wouldn't you know it, I rolled in the black. I'm gonna do it, people. A lot of panners don't like panning blacks, but I could easily use this as a liner. So we'll see how that goes. Here is my color story. It's very Halloween to me. And we are going into winter, which is when I think of silvers and blues and just more fresh colors. But I'm curious on how I will utilize these shadows. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it inspires you to get into your eyeshadow collection and get more use out of them. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and if you enjoy makeup and panning content, please subscribe to my channel so I see you in the next video.